Hi everyone, it's Zach here and welcome to a completely new format on my YouTube channel here. It's super hot here in Germany right now and here in my office it's like twice as hot as outside, so I'm melting. But anyway, let's do this. So a few weeks ago I did a survey asking the community what they want to see content-wise on my channel in the future. And after checking the answers, I see that there's a specific topic which are many people interested in, and this is how to make a living as CG artist or 3D artist, or more specific as Blender artist. Personally, I also make a living as CG artist or as Blender artist. Probably I will do a video about how I do it in the future, but I thought why not ask people with a lot of experience to share their knowledge with us. And this is what this new kind of series should be about. So if you like this interview here and this video, it would be pretty cool to let me know in the comments below so that I know that you want to see more of these videos in the future. Also for now I focus on Blender artists. Maybe I will change this in the future. But for now, since my channel is Blender related, I want to focus on people which are using Blender to make a living. So today we have Lech Sokołowski in this interview. It's the guy behind chocofur.com. Chocofur is an online store where you can purchase high quality Blender assets, mainly for architecture visualization. So no matter if you are a Blender artist or use any other tool, I think this interview will be pretty interesting for you because we will talk about many different things. Lech has over 10 years of experience. He has worked in companies like Evermotion, Pixelmondo, and now he's running his own agency and the chocofur store. So he has a lot of experience and also some nice tips and tricks for you in all kinds of areas, like if studying is important, what is better, freelancing or employment, and is it a good idea to sell 3D assets online? If you don't want to watch the whole thing because it's pretty long, check the chapter marks in the video description below. There you can see all the questions and yeah, you just can click on the stuff which is interesting for you. Also connected with this video here, I have a nice promotion. If you want to purchase some stuff on chocofur.com, use the coupon code ZAC25 to save 25% on all your purchases on chocofur.com. Pretty awesome, right? Check the link and the coupon code in the video description below. Alright guys, without further blah blah, let's finally get to the interview and I wish you a lot of fun. So, Lech, great to have you here.
Nice, thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, and let's just start with the first question here. So, just give us a brief overview about you, your life, and maybe what you've studied, your career path, jobs you've worked in, such things.
Okay, so my name is Lech Sokołowski. I'm the guy behind the chocofur.com website. Some of you might already know it. I can proudly say I'm a Blender artist for about 10 years now. And at the moment, I would say 100% of my income is Blender based. So I'm just getting my money and my living out of Blender only. Mm-hmm. And as for my background, I studied architecture. This is so I'm technically an architect, but by heart I always wanted to do the 3D graphics more. So that's how I got into Blender, and yeah, this is what I do for a living.
What jobs have you worked in, for example, before you were...
yeah, the career.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking on this question. I don't think if I would call it a career necessarily, because at least to me, the career always reminds this, kind of corporate ladder you just climb onto. Mm. So you start on the bottom end and you just become, let's say, a CEO after 20 years. So I'm definitely not following that path in my life. I would say for me, it started during my studies where I was, let's call it a freelancing for some architectural offices doing the 3D models and some renderings. Then I got a chance to work at Evermotion. It's a 3D modeling company which does 3D assets for 3ds Max, but I was also allowed to work there in Blender along with a few other guys. So yeah, we were kind of promoting Blender inside the 3ds Max company. After a year or so, I left the company and decided to go on my own. So at first, I wanted to launch, let's call it an agency that was doing a 3D plus the interior design. But honestly, I really didn't have that much experience at that point. So I didn't shut down the office after 2 years, but I just shrunk it. And I went to Germany to work for 2 companies, actually. At first, I worked for Pixamondo. You might also know this company. They do the VFX stuff for many feature films, including Game of Thrones and so on. But I didn't really like it, to be honest. And that's an interesting part, because I always thought, speaking of the career, I wanted to develop more into the VFX side and the feature film side. But after working there for a couple of months, I just immediately knew that it's not something I want to do in my life. So after this short period at Pixamondo, then I got in touch with one design agency in Munich, and we worked together for almost 2 years. And then I also, again, decided to go on my own, and I'm now in Germany.
So, and what made you decide to go on your own and don't work as employee somewhere?
Yeah, it's also a nice question, because when I was studying architecture, the whole studies were always kind of like the essence of how the freelancer's life look like. So, for example, when you study, I don't want to, say the architecture is an ultimate studies, are the ultimate study or something. But usually when you prepare to the exams, you might be lucky, right? So you weren't able to learn everything, and you just got the questions that were in the area you were educated in. And with architecture, you always, like, by the end of each semester, you always had to present your projects. So you just had to make them, right? So you couldn't even pay anyone to do it if you wanted, because it was always way too much work for other people. So you were always kind of forced to do those projects, and in reality, it was like very often a crunch times, I would say, because it's not only about the project but also about the presentation, which is like you have to create the Photoshop layouts, renderings, 3D drawings, and everything, and then put it all together and make a presentation at the end of the semester. So it was always very tough to make it on time, especially when you're a student and you don't know the 3D applications and 2D applications that good. So after when I was graduating, I was so happy that I'm gonna get like 5-8 job at the office, because I thought, now my life's gonna be more organized. And after a year, I just knew, okay, that's definitely not the lifestyle I want to have. So then that was the point where I decided to launch my first company. And after 2 years, I was also, again, kind of exhausted by it, same as during my architectural studies. So I wanted to get something. Maybe I wasn't looking for like 5-8 job again, but it kind of turned out that Pixamondo, they had a project, they wanted to invite me to work on this. So I did for a couple of months again, and it wasn't that good, but I think it's more related to the company, not just the work itself. So as I mentioned, then I moved to Munich to work with one agency, but I was a freelancer there, so I also had a lot of freedom. But after 2 years, well, I just knew I'm not like developing that much at this point. And I also had the chocofur as a side project back then already. So I decided, I think I want to focus on that more. So that's how I got here.
Okay. So speaking about your income, you said that you make your main income or all your income with Blender. So is chocofur the only thing you're gaining your income from, or are there other things as well?
No, I would say, it's actually pretty nicely divided, because 100% of my income is Blender based. So of course I know how to use other applications, but if a client sends me a 3ds Max files and I just open them in 3ds Max, I don't consider this to be, like working in 3ds Max. So that's why I say it's 100% Blender.
Yeah.
The chocofur, I would say, roughly makes 1/3 of my current income. The other 1/3 are some clients I got from the the very first company I was talking about, so the one I launched in Poland. And 1/3 are the like the rolling customers, let's say, so the new people that need to have something done. Plus some of plus I would say the last 1/3 are also the clients from the agency I worked with here in Munich, because like in the agency many people come, many people go out, and some of them also launch their own companies, so we are in touch and I'm doing some jobs for them.
Okay, so basically 1/3 chocofur and 2/3 freelance stuff. If this is...
I wouldn't call it freelance stuff, because I would say 1/3 chocofur, 1/3 freelance, and 1/3 general projects which I manage, because it's not me anymore who does them.
Okay, so it's more like managing the agency.
Yeah.
And okay, understand. So coming back to the chocofur, what was the main motivation to start this business for you? So when did you realize that you want to do this?
I think it was already back in 2012 when there was the first usable cycles version available for Blender. And the main reason for that was we were doing, again, I would say maybe 80% of our projects back then just in Blender. And that was the time when many people didn't even knew about Blender, and if they knew, they always thought of it as a very amateurish tool. So we kind of wanted to show it's possible to do really professional stuff in it, and we wanted to sell or even just share for free some of the projects we did, but we couldn't do it because of the external assets we were using in them.
Okay.
So at one point we thought, why not to try just creating some of the assets ourselves and then replacing them in the projects and then putting them online. But it turned out to be too much of a hassle, to be honest. So in the end, we thought, let's just try to see if it just works out, if we put some Blender models online. Back then, in 2012, I don't think there was anyone doing it, except of some people maybe at TurboSquid or something. So it was a challenge at first because, obviously as everything you do, it needs to get attraction. So I think we really had to publish around 300 models to see the positive, feedback from the community.
Yeah. Do you consider chocofur to be successful at this moment? And if so, how long does it took you to this point, basically?
That's also a good question. In general, it depends what do you consider a success, right? To some people, becoming a senior manager or senior technical director at a VFX company is a success, right? To other people, I don't know, it's a certain amount of money. To me, a success at this point is actually being able to do what I do. So, it's Monday, 1 p.m., and we are just, having a conversation right now, and I can do it from where I live. I can do it from any other place in the world. I can afford to live like this. So, and I can strongly say chocofur is really allowing me to do that. I mean, speaking even of in terms of living costs, right? So it allows me to have a pretty comfortable life here in Germany. If I was in Poland, that would be even better because the currency is, there's a currency difference. So yeah, I definitely consider it a success. Maybe not like the ultimate goal I would like to achieve with it, but yeah, it allows me to develop it and make a living out of it.
So if you think back on your career, or however you want to call it, was there ever a moment that changed everything, or that was really tough for you to manage, and how do you got over this?
Yeah, so thinking of this question, I don't think there was like a very critical moment in my life, or let's say in a career, but a definite break point was the moment I decided to go to Germany. And it wasn't only the job-wise, because my fiancée at the time, she also studied in Germany, so we wanted to be closer together. And that was like very shortly after we moved to a new office in Poland, to the bigger one, which we also had to restore and prepare everything. And then I was also working with 3 other people most of the time, so for them it was a little bit of a letdown that I'm just like now all of a sudden going to Germany and leaving them behind. Well, it wasn't like that because we were constantly in touch online, but you know how it is. So it felt like I'm not focusing on this Polish business that much as on the German one. And that kind of after a year, I had to like literally close the bigger office we shared with the other people, and I just stayed in the small office, which I actually have up until now, up and running, because I have a one person like doing all the management stuff there.
Okay. So the office in Poland, you are the owner, or how can I understand this?
Yeah. I mean, I have a like business registered in Poland and also like a small office with all of our stuff, and also one person doing the management, accounting, and all those things, plus two 3D artists working for me, like maybe not on like daily basis, like on the fixed job basis, but as a, like, I would say, regular constant freelancers. So we do chocofur and some of the projects together. And when we have more jobs coming, then I just contact the other people and we just manage everything online.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, the chocofur interacts with your agency work somehow. Yeah, if I understand this right.
Yeah, exactly. Let's say if we don't have many projects, then we just switch to 3D assets development. If we have more jobs, then I unfortunately have to like switch people to other projects. But yeah, I really do my best to change it this year. So if everything goes well, I will have maybe even 2 people just dedicated for the 3D models, not touching other things, because we want to keep this developing.
Okay. So you had basically people helping you out from the start on, yeah?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think it would be crazy to do like 1,200 models just by yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was, I mean, at first, throughout those many years, I was just doing the models with 2 guys. And they were preparing the 3D meshes. I was sending them feedbacks, and then because I already had a pretty nice, let's say, setup. So I was doing the renderings and Photoshop files and putting everything online. But yeah, I decided to change it last year. So because I need more time to manage other things. So now it's a little bit more on others' shoulders than on mine.
So what do you consider to be your biggest success in terms of your business side of life? And maybe how does this change your way you think, feel about your business?
Well, I would definitely say the biggest success for me is actually being here right now. So after those many years that I'm doing what I'm doing, basically. So because as for the chocofur, it's not actually really about the money as many people might think. So because it might look like, yeah, I just opened the 3D model store, I'm just selling them to have some cash for a living, and that's it. But to me, it's really, being honest with you, if I really wanted to focus on the money, I think I would be doing something much different right now. And for me, it's really about bringing the value to other people, and if possible, also like helping them in developing their 3D careers, let's say, or 3D studio works or freelance works, whatever you want to call it. So I would say for me, that's a really kind of a success that I'm still able to do it, that I can afford doing it. Then it's like getting bigger. Let's say it's getting bigger and keeps on rolling year after year. So yeah, I never won a like CG contest or anything like it to consider this my success or something.
Yeah. So if you can name like up to 3 things, whatever this is, which really helped you in your own business to bring it further, what would that be?
Yeah, it might it might be really funny, but learning Excel, because for many years I was just using pen and paper for many things, which might sound crazy, but it was really doing its job. But after a while, I just decided, okay, if we want to keep on going with this stuff, we really have to get more organized and at least a little bit more professional.
Yeah.
So definitely learning Excel. I mean, I'm not an expert or anything, but just it really helps you a lot to, let's say, do some estimates or just visualize some ideas you might have or calculate the costs. The other thing I would say was I just still don't want to sound like I'm good at it, but learning some basics of Python helped me a lot, and I really would like to learn much more because it can really speed up your daily desktop work on many occasions. One of the tools I'm using that really helps me to keep stuff organized is Trello.
Yeah.
I think many people are familiar with it, but you can really, if you organize it correctly, you can, I think, run easily up to 10, 20 people online just using Trello, nothing else.
Okay, so you're using Trello for a project organization, yeah?
For project organization, for development organization. So let's say now we were doing I obviously keep it for my personal stuff as well, but let's say I was organizing my wedding using Trello with my wife, and we at the same time I also had some boards with particular projects running, the chocofur models, like the schedule and everything, the chocofur store development, all the bug fixes and everything. So I'm just keeping everything on Trello. It's great. You can share it with other people seamlessly and just discuss the stuff. The other tool I'm also using is Slack, obviously for communication, just to avoid Facebook or those kind of communicators. And a very handy tool I also use it's called the Front app.
Okay.
There are some alternatives, but I use it for email management. So for example, when an email comes to my inbox, I can assign a person that can answer it, or that can, and we can discuss what should be done with this email, so you can do it inside the application. You don't have to go to Slack and, let's say, discuss an email.
Okay.
Just by giving someone its I don't know, title or something. You can do everything within the application, which is very nice, I think.
So this is connected to your email client, or how does this work?
Okay, so you're asking how does it work? It's an application because I have different domains, but in general all the emails land in my Google inbox.
Okay.
And then I just connect the Google inbox to this application. So so that's how I track everything. Yeah.
So, and all the tools that you mentioned, are they only useful if you're managing people, or would you also suggest them to people which are doing like a one-man business?
Well, it really depends. I mean, the front you could easily avoid, because unless you're really getting many emails to answer daily, I don't think there's any point of using it. But Trello, I would definitely recommend to everyone. Like, it can really help you getting things organized. What I would just recommend is like trying it out and seeing how it works best for you, because I wouldn't say you could have different ways of using Trello, right? Some people do it chronologically. I just never do it chronologically. I just put the things like on the pinboard and we just work on this.
So how important are connection to other artists or entrepreneurs for your business or for the success of your business?
Yeah, to me that's a tricky question, because I think it's really, well, in general, it's important to network with other people, but I'm very bad at it, to be honest. And the main reason is I really don't have much time on the daily basis, to be honest. And yeah, I would say that's why I'm bad at it, but you should definitely network.
You have some people working with you. I guess you discuss problems with them as well and take feedback from them.
I mean, the people you work with, I wouldn't necessarily consider this like a networking. I mean, the way I understand networking is when you go out to the other people, let's say the other Blender artists or the community, and you just try to get new, it's gonna sound funny, but you're gonna try to get new friends and stuff like this. And yeah, I'm honestly not very good at it, because mostly I just really like to focus on work. We have many kind of fixed schedules and things that have to be done, and I just don't really have that much time as I wish to network or to build my to increase my social network, let's say.
Okay, then let's ask this in a different way. How important do you feel like working with other people instead of just working alone?
Oh, okay. That changes everything. I mean, if it's possible to work with others, you should definitely do it as soon as possible. There's a once nice saying I like to repeat to myself: if you want to go fast, then you go alone. But if you want to go far, then you need to team up with someone. And so let's say I think that explains everything. If you want some things to be done very quick, then you should do them yourself. But if you really want to build something and, keep on going, then you definitely have to team up with someone and find some people you like working with and you get along together. That's very important as well, I think.
And do you have any tips for if you maybe don't have the money yet to afford to hire someone, are there any other things you could do to team up with other people and work on something to get further with your business?
Yeah, I'm thinking of it.
Like you're starting with your business, or your business is running, but it's only giving you enough money to live, or to manage your life, basically, and you don't have the money, but you want other people to join so that your business can grow, basically.
Yeah, that was the mistake I did at first. So I first hired the people, and then I was trying to find enough work for everyone, which obviously was stupid, but you never know until you try.
Yeah.
And it ended up me working 24/7. So we have enough money for salaries and for the office and for everything. So that taught me that you should only include the other people when you really don't have time and capabilities of doing all the work yourself anymore. So yeah, it's actually a very tough thing to do to include other people, because you have to build trust. You have to know if you get along with the other person. You need to have some resources to afford it, right? In the end, you really have to manage the other person. So it's very often, at least for me, like the need of finding a proper balance. Because when I think, okay, this job is like literally 4 hours, and it's going to take me 2 hours to explain it to someone. So maybe I should actually do it myself instead of spending 2 hours explaining and then perhaps spending another 3 hours on feedbacks because someone didn't understand what I was talking about.
Yeah.
It's I don't think there is a one answer to how you do it. It really depends on your situation, on what kind of people you like working with. It just, I think, rolls. You just have to try it, right? If something doesn't work, you're just learning, right? As everyone else.
What do you think, if we talk about chocofur, what is the main benefit compared to other services like TurboSquid or Evermotion, I guess, or all this 3D asset websites out there?
If you're a 3ds Max or Cinema user, then definitely no advantages. But if you're a Blender user, I would say, when you think of chocofur, it's actually just the 3D models for Blender. That's it. So someone else can say, well, why shouldn't I just buy someone else's models and convert them to Blender or something? Well, first off, if you have time to do that, then I would actually even recommend to do it for some models. But if you're like Blender user like me and you really want to keep things organized, then I would go with chocofur, because, as I said, it's not only the thing we want to sell models to earn money. The thing is, all the models we sell are the things we tested in our projects, so we know how they work. That's why I also started working on the chocofur model manager last year. So it speeds up the process of adding the models into your 3D scene. And I think one important thing we want to do in chocofur is keeping the library structured and organized. So, for example, if you have, let's say, 10,000 models, let's be honest, you really don't know what you have in the library with 10,000 models. It's way too much, too many things to keep track of everything. But if you keep the library a bit smaller, but handpicked, and spend more time on discussing which assets should we actually include in the library so they are more versatile, and because it's not that hard to actually pick up, let's say, 50 chairs online, just remodel them if you can afford it and just sell them on. It's not a problem at all, but it takes some time to actually do a research to see which chair models are popular nowadays, what are the architects or designer recommendations, what actual models people like to have in their libraries, and then nail those exact models. So you can keep the library smaller, you can afford it, and the things are also more organized, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you're working with Blender, then you just can import them into your scene and they are just working fine, right?
Yes, we are releasing the updated model manager in literally, it would happen this week if not my computer crashed this morning. We will try to do it this week anyways. The thing with chocofur is we don't want to focus on 3D models only in the future. Okay. My vision is to have complete solution for people who really want to include 3D graphics in their creative pipeline. So, for example, if you're a designer and you don't necessarily want to create super realistic visualizations, maybe in the future, but at this point you just need a tool that allows you to arrange, let's say, the furnishings in the simple 3D scene just to show the client your vision. I would like chocofur to allow people doing that in Blender, not in any other application.
Okay.
So we are working right now on the educational materials for people, which we would like to start finalizing once the Blender 2.8 is finished. So we have it all ready for the new interface and everything.
Yeah.
Because when you think of 3D graphics, if I can talk on this a little bit longer, I work with many designers, and when it comes to 3D, it's almost always like people want to find a freelancer who does the job for them, and very often the job is really simple. It's something that you could actually do yourself if you only knew how to use the tools available.
Yeah.
And when regular people think of 3D graphics, it always seems so complicated because people think of the, let's call it, industry standard applications like 3ds Max and others, which are very expensive, which you have to put on time learning. So once you spend the money on the software, once you spend the money on education, you still have nothing, to be honest, because now you need to build your models, your pipeline. You have to decide which rendering engine you're going to use, and this is also this is a tough technical question to people who don't know anything about 3D, right? Because it depends on the hardware you're using, and most people don't even know what kind of hardware they have. So all those questions are so bumming to people, they just decide to hire a freelancer. So, and when you look at Blender, on the other hand, it's really such a nice, complex, but compact tool, right? You just download the zip, unzip it, boom, and you can start working if you know how to do it. Yeah. So yeah, my dream, let's say, would be bringing chocofur to the point where it allows like a regular Joe to just, log in, let's say pay for some basic training tutorials and also receive the basic pipeline. So he doesn't only know the application, but he already has a base to actually start working on the professional projects for himself.
So as I understand it, all the models and so on will be also working with Blender 2.8 and Eevee, for example?
Yes.
You talked about Blender quite a lot. So has the use of Blender you already answered this, but has Blender an important influence on your business, positive or negative?
As I said, I would say it really has a huge impact on my business. I don't use any other tool for 3D except of, maybe opening files and just exporting them to OBJ or FBX, like literally. And yeah, I'm also lucky, to be honest, to be at the point right now. So because I have customers who know that I work in Blender, and even though in the end some of them want to have like original files, I just say, I'm not working in Cinema. All the renders were prepared in Blender. I can give you the files. I can even export them to OBJs or FBX if you want, but you will have to adapt them yourselves. Yeah. I know there are some companies that don't do it. So I guess I'm lucky. I work with people who understand it. And in the end, they value the 3D rendering or the animation more than just the files. So yeah, but Blender plays very, very important role. I would say the core, the crucial role in my business.
Was there ever an attempt of a larger corporation trying to swallow your business? And if yes, how did you manage this?
No, I think I'm just too small at this point to have. Yeah. But that's an interesting question because I was applying for one startup event here in Munich 2 years ago or something like that, and I got to the finals with the chocofur, and the only reason, because the contest was you could get 5,000 euros for your startup development, plus some coaching and stuff like this. And the reason the chocofur wasn't chosen was actually there was no business partner from the big guys who could actually back it up.
Okay.
Because it was mostly focused on the automotive industry, so BMW and Siemens and I think Allianz.
Okay.
So those very big Munich-based companies, and unfortunately there wasn't anyone from let's say our industry. If that was the case, I think I could have got it.
How important is marketing for your business?
Again, a good question. This year, actually, I decided to focus a little bit more on the marketing. And the interesting thing is, like literally last week, I decided to go through all of my clients and see how many of them were acquired through the outgoing marketing. And since 2011, it was just one client.
Okay.
So I'm actually rethinking my marketing strategy, to be honest, at this point, because literally like 99% of the clients I got were either they just came by themselves through like the online sites, or were recommended, or are some of the people I know from the other companies that now run the other businesses or work at some other agencies, and they just needed someone doing the 3D stuff.
So you're talking about the agency work right now, yeah? Or also the chocofur stuff?
The chocofur stuff, it's funny. Oh yeah, I didn't think you're asking about the chocofur only. As for the chocofur, I would say the mailing list, growing my mailing list was a very important marketing decision. And at one point, I used to have banners, just a simple banners on a few websites. And that surprisingly, to my genuine surprise, really brought a lot of traffic to the website. I was just testing it out just to see how do those banners work nowadays, and it actually worked pretty fine.
Okay. And how did you manage to place banners on other websites?
I was using buy-sell ads and Google AdWords.
Okay.
So nothing special, to be honest.
And do you use this like every day, or just some campaigns from time to time?
The buy-sell ads, it was running on one website for I think 1.5 years. The Google AdWords, I just tried it a couple of times, and right now I do zero marketing online because we are rebuilding the website, and I just don't want to confuse people.
Yeah. And talking about your mailing list, how exactly do you build your mailing list?
The reason I started building mailing list was because I couldn't reach out to the people who were actually visiting the website and using some of the free stuff on the website. So I just decided to create a login page where if you wanted to download the freebies, you just had to leave your email address. And I would say that's the best way of building. I think that's the best way of building the mailing list. But on the other hand, I will also advise people not to, kind of just to be fair when you do it. So to provide an actual content, because nowadays every single website you just visit wants you to leave your email address, which is really annoying. You just read one article, you don't even get to the end, and you already have a pop-up for a newsletter sign up, right?
Yeah.
And so on the store, for me, it was also providing a 20% discount to the people who subscribe to the newsletter.
Yeah.
So I always wanted to, because I know it's when you say something is free, but then you ask people to leave their email address, it's not free because it takes time to do it, and time is money. So it's not free. No, but that's true. And that's why when I do it, I really want to provide an actual content to the people who do this.
So you want to provide real value, basically.
Exactly. I really don't like
Yeah, understand.
BSing people.
Mm-hmm. And how important do you think your mailing list is for your business, like for earning money somehow? And maybe keeping people updated and keep people interested in your business?
Yeah, I would say mailing, that's the same thing. Many people create mailing lists and they just say it's, for keeping people updated, but then they spam you like 2 times a week with some promotions or whatever. So you have to unsubscribe to keep your inbox clean.
Yeah.
That's something I really want to avoid as well. So I don't think I send more than, let's say, 5 newsletters a year.
Okay.
I might be wrong, but I don't think, because it also costs you some money if you do it through MailChimp or any other application. So it's not free, especially when you have the bigger mailing list. But I would say, especially around Black Fridays and dates like this, it can really bring you a significant profit if you're offering enough value to the people.
Okay, so you said you don't do that much marketing. Are you planning to do any specific marketing strategy in the future?
Yeah, I'm thinking of, I don't maybe have any like a grand strategy in my head, but once we release the first educational materials, because my initial goal is actually reaching out to the people who don't use Blender at this point.
Okay.
So I think then we will think of something maybe, but like nothing except of like Google AdWords at this point comes to my mind, to be honest. But it's maybe just too early to think of it.
So you didn't really dive into the topic that much?
I'm kind of... Okay, I don't want this sound like, but Elon Musk said if he had a budget, he would rather spend it on product development than on the marketing. And I'm a little bit more on this kind of guy as well.
Yeah. So you want to provide great products and they should speak for themselves, basically.
Yeah, in the perfect world.
Yeah. So if you could change anything right now in your life or your business in order to improve it, what would that be?
Yeah, I think what I would like to change or would like to improve would be maybe defining my future a little bit more, because at this point I don't think it's a bad thing. But when people ask you like, where do you see yourself in 5 years, right? I really have no idea where I'm going to be like the next year from today.
Okay.
And I don't actually even do any plans or any things like that, because I just live on the daily basis and see what the future brings, literally. So maybe if I was a little bit more defined on that, let's say, I see chocofur in this point in 3 years from now on, maybe that would allow me to be a little bit more consistent and focused on the development. But on the other hand, maybe I would be much more stressed out than I am right now. So, I don't think I would really change anything in this area. What I would really like to have in my, let's say, skill set would be just the Python programming. So that I would really like to maybe have this one day.
Okay. Do you take your time to learn new things, or is there just no time for that?
There is always some time, but right now I think if I have to choose how do I spend my free time on development, I almost always choose reading books, the business books. So the Python is unfortunately somewhere down the line still.
Yeah. Talking about business books, is there any really good one you want to recommend?
I would say there are a couple. I don't know if they're gonna fit everyone because it's a very personal thing in my opinion, but the book that really changed my approach to things is the Fast Lane's Millionaire, or I think it's called like this. It's MJ DeMarco. It's not a very popular book, but from like I really watched many podcasts and business related things, and I would say I think I read it in 2014, and up to date it's still the best book. If you really want to be, let's say, a freelancer or start your own small business, I would say to me that was the life-changing book, honestly.
Okay.
The other two books that really stayed in my mind was 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel, the guy who founded PayPal together with Elon Musk, and I think the third one was a rework. I don't remember the authors, but these are the guys who created Basecamp application. So yeah, I would definitely say those three books were the most important for me.
Okay, I will put links to all the books in the description just for everyone. How important in general do you find to like read books or listen to podcasts? Is this important to improve your business or yourself?
It really depends where you are in your life, I would say. So let's say if you're just graduating or if you're just a hobbyist like 3D hobbyist who wants to like start doing things professionally, I don't think reading books or listening to the podcasts really change anything at this point. I would say what the best thing you can do right now is just finding a job, like 8 to 5 job, normal job where you will just sit 8 hours in front of the computer and just do your work, because this will really show you after 3 months if you really want to do the 3D or if it's just, I actually, the first 2 weeks I worked as a 3D guy were really hard for me.
Okay.
Because I was doing it, just from my basement or from my room the entire life as a student, and it was a passion and a hobby and a nice thing to earn some side cash. But then when you get to the real job where you really have to do it, it gets tough. But in my opinion, it teaches you many important things, like delivering on time, working with other people. Like you also learn the technical standards on many things, because as a hobbyist you may think you do some things good, but then the other people who are more experienced than you will just verify it and pinpoint all the mistakes you're doing. So that's also very, very valuable in my opinion. Yeah. So, but when you're, let's say, you have 5 years or 3 years of experience and you want to, become a freelance, and you have this illusion of having more time as a freelancer, then I would definitely recommend maybe 1 or 2 years after doing it, looking up for some books and podcasts, because that when you do your job right, if you just work hard, after a couple of years you will just see you won't be able to develop like that far in terms of just the 3D graphics, because let's be honest, I think 3D is not the hardest thing you can do in life. So after a couple of years you already know really a lot. And it just depends. If you want to just stay in this point, you can also do it fine.
Yeah.
But if you want to develop, I would say books and some podcasts are very good things.
So, do you think like books and so on are just good for people running their own business, or also for people that are employed in some companies?
Let's say if you really want to stay at the company, and let's say if you want to stay at the company and become the better 3D artist, I'm not sure if there are many books about this. You might want to like expand your creative horizons. I don't know if you can say it like that, but let's say you can start drawing. If you never did that, you can maybe start sculpting and attend to some workshops so you get better. Because like I would say what I really like about studying architecture, we really had a very solid drawing foundations. So things like, let's say, image composition, object placement, so it looks nice. We were, I knew this just from the drawing lessons, so it was kind of natural when I jumped into Blender. And, when you just set up a camera and you want to put things around, if you have the basic understanding of only the composition, it will always look like something you just do on the clay quality rendering. When it's nicely composed in the camera, it will always look better, in my opinion, than for the realistic stuff just put on the camera randomly. So those other skills will definitely help you out if you just want to work in a company.
So I think the books we're talking about are more like business development and related to this area, I think.
Well, it really depends. If you work at the company, why would you read the books on how to run a business, right?
Yeah.
If you perhaps want to become more a manager, or like the just like advance from being just a regular 3D guy or a senior 3D guy to someone who manages the projects, then you could definitely read some books on that, right? So it's not only reserved to people who are freelancers.
So you talked a bit about studying and so on, and get employed. So how important do you think studying the field you want to work in is, or just learn stuff on your own? And as you mentioned, do you think it's the best way when you finish studying, for example, to start as an employed person, or would you recommend to just start out with freelancing?
So the first question, should you study? Again, it really depends on the personality. I would say in general, I think it's better if you just go and, I don't want to say study something or study anything, but if you like doing 3D, I would say it will never harm you artistically if you study anything artistically related, right? It can only help you, I think, unless you get to the really shady school where they will harm you somehow artistically, which can also happen, but I think it's very rare. So it will definitely help you, but it's, again, not necessary, right? I know some people from Evermotion who are one of the top 3D artists out there, and most of them never graduated anything. So they are self-taught, and because you can really learn a lot of things outside of the university. The thing is, once you're there, you're often, pressed against the wall to do the things. So unless you're very organized and disciplined yourself, I would recommend going there. And if you can discipline yourself and to do everything, just in your basement, then you shouldn't go. What was the second part of the question?
Like when you're ready to start a job, would you recommend to start as freelancer or as employed person?
Well, if you graduate and you want to start freelancing right away, you will have problem finding clients, because unless you're really, really talented guy and you really already during your studies maybe have people who ask you for freelance jobs, I think if you're not that person, you should just go and find a job and learn the hard way. That's and there is nothing bad in it, really. You will really get a solid. If you get to the decent company, you will really get the decent foundations for your freelance work, let's say, in the next few years.
Yeah. So this can help a lot for freelancing later on.
I think so.
Yeah. And also I think connections are also pretty important.
Exactly. It really depends on the company. For example, when I was working at Pixamondo, the problem there was you really have people very, very specialized in certain things. So you have, let's say, people just doing the rigs, people just doing the shaders, people just doing the post-production. So I don't think building this kind of network will help you out, because most of those people will never run their own companies, or if they change a company, they will be like a rigger or shading artist in the other company as well. So they won't have any like they won't have a decisive voice on like that will influence you in any way. Perhaps they will recommend you to the company. So if you're looking for a job, it will be easier for you to get there. But in terms of being a freelancer, I would say, it's actually pretty funny thing I learned in Germany, because I was used to delivering very high quality renderings before I moved here, and the design agency I was working with for 2 years, they very rarely wanted some high quality stuff from me, because very often it was just the client pitches and presentations, and they had some ideas on the projects they wanted to deliver, and they just needed some basic 3D, renderings. So they know how to explain the idea to the client, and those kind of companies were eager to pay very good money for those simple renderings, because in the end it's just the rendering for us, but for the people it's really this simple rendering can really set up a very big project for an agency like this.
Understand.
So your skill, it's a funny thing. Like you don't always have to be like the top-notch 3D artist to earn money. I would say the money you earn is not that often correlated to your skill in 3D, and I think in many other industries as well.
Yeah. So let's get back to you as person. Do you have any kind of morning routine or routine in general which helps you somehow in your life or in your business?
To me, it's a funny question right now, because last week I really had problems with waking up. So I was going to bed at 3 or 5 a.m. Mostly, and just waking up around 10 or 12. So my question to the morning routine is, at least for me, it really depends. I know it might sound funny, but it really depends on the month. No, not only the month, the time of the year. So I really noticed, like, throughout many years, that in the summertime I really like to work till the late morning hours or till the late night hours, and then in the morning I just wake up quite late. And let's say for me also usually the very first half of the year, so the winter and the spring are the months where I really like to wake up early and go out to have a workout at the gym, or just have a running session or something like this, and then start the day. And the summertime is very laid back for me. But I don't know if I have any routine, if you ask that. I really like to spend some time a day on meditation or prayer, as you wanna, the way you wanna call it. It doesn't have to be a really long time, but like 10-15 minutes where you just calm down and think of your life. Some people do journaling. I know I tried doing that, but it didn't really work for me. And for many other routines, I don't actually think I have any.
Okay. And if I can go a bit more personal, And you have a wife, yeah?
Yes.
Do you have children?
No, not yet. We are married for 1 month only right now.
Okay.
We've been together for over 10 years, but
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, then congrats again.
Thank you.
For me, I have a family and so on, so it's always a hard decision, or it's a big management thing to get your personal life and your professional life together. So how is it on your end? Like, can you work on the hours you want to work, or is there a limitation somewhere?
I wouldn't say right now we have many limitations, because my wife is very forgiving, and on the other hand, she also understands the type of job that I'm doing. And speaking of freelancing, like back to one of the previous questions, like people think that as a freelancer you're gonna have more free time. I would say as a freelancer you can only decide if you're gonna sleep during the day or during the night, but the work amount is the same or even higher. And so you like many people ask why would you become a freelancer? I mean, it really depends. For me, to have this freedom of doing the things the way I want to at the hours I want to is really the main thing. It's not even the money.
Yeah.
Because having the freedom of doing the stuff wherever I want to, it's just the deal, right?
Yeah. So you're not, you should not work from this hour to that hour. So you're free to pick the time you want to work.
Exactly. I mean, sometimes during the day you just feel sleepy, right? And I know it's no point for me to like sit for 3 hours right now and do the thing that normally takes me 20 minutes because I'm really not in the condition or mood.
Yeah.
So sometimes I just take a nap during the day and wake up after 30 minutes and just do the work productively. I know it's going to change where we're going to have children, definitely, because this is something the very small children, you're not able to negotiate with them as much as with yourself.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I know it's going to change, but I'm pretty sure, I'm going to manage it, because you also know it, like there are situations in life where you can't predict everything, and you have to rearrange or remanage on like everything in a blink. So I would say that's another positive thing about freelancing, that you learn to be this kind of person that doesn't freak out every time something changes or some plan doesn't work as it was supposed to work.
Yeah. Fitting to this, what you just answered, how do you keep yourself motivated after working for so long on your business, and also in general, like sitting in front of the computer for many hours?
What I would say that definitely helps you doing this is just liking what you're doing. So I don't know, you might like driving sports cars, but when you have to do Le Mans 24 hour, right? It's a really hard thing to do, even though you like the cars. So liking this, liking 3D in general really helps you a lot, I would say. But what else keeps me motivated? I think once you're a freelancer, you just know there is no other way. This is the life path you're chosen.
Yeah.
You live this way. You have nothing else. Left. Of course, you can, let's say, a downgrade and have a regular job, but you decided to live this way.
Yeah.
So I would say, being organized and motivated is a part of it. Simply, it's not like something you have to get from inside of yourself every morning. You have rents to pay, you have people you have to pay, so that's the motivation at some point.
Maybe in a different way, the question in a different way, what helps you to, like, if you have a big project or a long-term project you're working on, and no fun working on this? Is there anything you do in order to push yourself to do it and have new motivation, new inspiration for this project?
It's gonna sound selfish right now, but if I have those kind of projects, I really try to do everything so other people work on them. even if I'm not gonna earn much on those projects, I really prefer like giving other people let's call it this way, giving the other people opportunity to work on them.
Okay.
Instead of doing it them myself, but I think it's fair as well, because let's be honest, when you're 25 or 22, you have completely different life problems once when you're like 35 or 32, right? So you're not any longer able to work on stuff as much as you did in the past, and spend the night time working as much as you were able during your studies or something. Yeah. So you really it's a part of this balancing as well. Which projects should I take myself and do them myself, and which ones should I give to someone else, even though and if I can afford doing this. Because sometimes you do the project, you get the money, but you're so exhausted after that you need another 2 or 3 weeks to actually get back to your mental shape and condition. Yeah. So and that's the time you're not going to be able to work on anything else. So it also costs you money. So again, you have to balance it properly.
Talking about balance, what is your most loved passion besides 3D?
I would say it's actually working out. Just because again, if you do computer graphics and you sit for so many hours in front of the computer, you need some physical activity either way, because you're gonna be down at 35 at best, I think, if you don't do anything with yourself. But I actually like it anyway, right? I think anything else would be reading books, and not necessarily the business related books. I'm interested in actually the physics a little bit, but not like getting into details and on all the mathematical and equation stuff. Just getting the general understanding of modern physics and stuff like this. I also like reading. I'm a Christian, and I also like reading Christian-related books as well. And I would say the third thing, which happened only from the last year, is driving a car. In Germany you have no limits on the autobahns, which is a nice thing. But in general, sometimes in the evenings I really like to just jump into the car, play some music, and just chill out and drive and do nothing else. To me, it's really very mind purifying experience. You just drive, you don't think of anything else. I really like this as let's say a relaxation tool. But sometimes I also like go to the racetrack and have some adrenaline. So I would say those three things.
So if you're looking back, is there anything you would teach your younger self? So maybe also, is there anything you would do different or? I think if I could maybe improve something, would be getting more into this daily routine thing. So sometimes I really miss having the character of. I'm definitely not the kind of person that's able to do something every morning for the entire life. I think I would like to be this kind of a person. I recently watched a podcast where someone said that if you do something for like 10 minutes every day, that's easily an hour a week. That's 4 hours a month. And, throughout the year, it's like how many hours? It's like over 40 hours, right? So it's a week.
So let's say you usually go for a week. I mean, most people do it like more often, but if you had an opportunity of having a week off every year for, let's say, a nice holiday, or for a nice, let's say, consulting with some people you like, that would be very beneficial if you did this every single year, right?
Yeah.
And that's something you get if you spend just 10 minutes every morning on something every year. So I would really like to have this routine, but it's a really hard thing for me to do, unfortunately. So. And I guess, and I really think if you want to have it in your life, you really have to start when you're young. So yeah, if I was younger and I could redo some things in my past, that would be one of them.
So why do you think it's harder when you're older?
Because you have way more distractions, definitely. You have way more responsibilities and much more things that will disrupt your morning routine that are beyond yourself. So for example, like with me today, even though I wanted to do something in the morning, my computer just crashed, and for no reason, just updated it and it just went black. And you couldn't even predict this happening, right? And it ruins your day or two to fix the things. So then those morning routines become more and more challenging because you have those things pending and unfixed, and now you're just sitting here in the morning wasting your time on meditation or something. So this is very distracting, and I think you don't face these many problems when you're younger, right?
Yeah, could be. Yeah. So let's talk a bit about the future of your business. So one thing I just thought was, if you could, would the chocofur thing be the main thing? So if you can leave everything else behind, would you just do the chocofur thing, or do you find it nice to have the different aspects in your business?
Yeah, I think I would do it if it was possible. In fact, 1 month ago, I had a business consulting with one I think very experienced person that does the 3D related jobs for almost 25 years and has his own like nicely running business. So we went through my portfolio, my company's portfolio, and the initial thought was, if I want to scale up my business, I just need to bid the bigger clients, create a new website, and so on. But basically the idea was I need to just create an agency again. So because I would say now is the time to do it correctly. Whereas it wasn't where I first started doing it. But after, researching on the topic again and thinking of it for a couple of days, I just realized I really don't want to do it. And that's again, speaking of money, I know I could probably earn much, much more at this point if I did this, but I really don't want to do it.
This would basically mean more work or more headache in general, right?
I think it's not even about the headache, but and more work because I'm used to it. But the thing is, I really like working on chocofur because I know it's not just the money grinder, as I call the agency work, because it's usually you just get the project, you get the people, you get the work done, you get the money, and after a couple of months the money is gone and you have to repeat the process again, and you just ask yourself, well, where does it lead to, right? Where's the end? And the end is like doing this forever, kind of. So it doesn't differ that much from the 5 to 8 job, if you ask me. Yeah. And the thing with chocofur is that you really create something that other people work with, and it really improves their lives in a sense. I mean, at least from the feedback I get from my users, it really helps them a lot. So this is something you don't really get from the normal project or agency-based works, right? And I think that's the main reason I would like to focus on this chocofur idea if it was possible. Only on this, right?
Yeah. Yeah, do you have maybe any plans on make this happen? Or what are your future plans? Do you have any? I mean, you already said that you don't have the future plan, but maybe you have some steps in the near future you want to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I never plan like very far away, but the plans for the near future are, as I said, just releasing the first tutorials and educational materials for Blender 2.8, and creating something like, let's just call it, let's just label it, creating a product, which would be like the educational materials plus the 3D models combined. And then trying to advertise it, market it, and see how it goes, and just seeing how it goes. I can't say anything more at this point because I don't know if it's actually going to work, if people are going to like it, or if it's going to be a failure, and if it's a failure, then why, and if we can change it. There are many questions from that point onwards. So I would say that's the closest future for me.
Okay. And if we are looking at this a bit more specific, are there any very specific products, maybe aside from the tutorial parts, you're excited about, you maybe want to share with us?
Yeah, that's why I'm calling this more of the educational materials than tutorials, because a tutorial nowadays is usually a YouTube video and perhaps a written tutorial with a few images. The way I want to do it is just creating a real courses with tests, which you can actually take after you finish the part of the material, so you can check your knowledge. Let's say the lessons where you have a housework, which you have to actually do to rewind the things you just learned, and a small community where you can also talk with other students on the specific lessons and discuss the things you did together or separately and stuff like this. So I would really like to try providing this kind of, academy experience. I don't know how to call it, rather than just, doing the video tutorials or stuff like this.
Yeah. So, if someone wants to do the same thing as you, related to the chocofur stuff, like selling 3D models online, what are the important steps he or she should do in order to do that?
I would say there are 3 ways you can actually do it if you want to sell your own 3D assets. The first one is just using the existing websites like TurboSquid or some other marketplace, like obviously Blender Market. The thing is, you definitely have to create a significant amount of assets to make this profitable. Yeah. And I would say that number is at least 200 or 300 pieces. Okay. Which might sound discouraging to many people, but that's the reality, I think. If you really want to sell using those channels, you need at least these many assets. Or perhaps if you find a certain niche which has a very poor quality assets and you are able to deliver at a better quality, then that might be the solution as well. Yeah. The second way, I would say, is taking a completely different approach, which would be building your audience first. So let's say you create a blog, you create a YouTube channel, whatever. You build up your audience, and then you sell whatever you have, whatever is valuable to your audience. Yeah. So, and I would recommend the second step, because this way you won't be able to gather your audience without creating a value. And when you create a value, at least you're changing the world to a better place. Because people gather around you, they subscribe to your YouTube channel and so on, because you create something that's useful. Yeah. When you just sell model on TurboSquid, you're just earning money and that's it. And once you build your following and you sell something and profit, because of that, I don't think it's anything bad, because you've provided a value to the people for free, and it's nothing bad in like making a living out of it, because this will allow you to provide more value in the future, right?
Yeah.
And the third thing could be like starting your own online store, like I did. But I would say that's why that's the third option, in my opinion. It's not that I'm discouraging, but I think it's a pretty hard thing to do, to be honest. If you don't have, because before I started chocofur, I already had this office in Poland running. I already had the agency contract in Munich, so I also had some financial backup to start doing this. Plus, I also had people I already work with, so I knew which parts of job could be sent to them to speed things up. And I also had some programming help from some people, so we could set up the store online and everything. Yeah. If you do it everything yourself, just out of the box, it will be, I think it's not possible, to be honest, to do it in a reasonable amount of time as well.
In general, I think a lot of maybe young 3D artists or 3D artists in general, which are maybe starting as a hobby and then realize they want to make some money out of this or living out of this. I think many people think that they are just can sell 3D models. I think it's the basic idea on how you can make money with this. But in general, do you recommend doing selling 3D assets, or would you recommend to go another way if possible?
I mean, if you're, let's say, 17 or 18 and you just need some cash on PayPal to afford, let's say, Steam sales and buy some games without asking your parents, then you can definitely try selling some models. But let's be honest, the market saturation is so big right now, especially on those marketplaces, that it's going to be very hard unless you really deliver something that's valuable, and you won't be able to create a valuable things very quickly and like roughly, I would say if you're a younger guy or a girl and want to do it, I think the better way is providing maybe some 3D models or assets or skins or whatever to video games through the workshops, like on Steam or I don't know, the other platforms. I think that's the better way to do it.
Okay.
If you're just young and want to have some practice. And like getting to the core of your question, is just selling the 3D models in general the way you should only focus on? I don't think so, because I'm not even doing it. So I don't think it's something you should like exclusively do as a 3D artist.
If someone wants to build up the business and maybe earns the first money through some jobs or whatever, or through selling models, what would you recommend to invest the money to improve the business in general?
So if you're a freelancer, I would say it would be wise to save as much as you can in the beginning, because after, let's say, 2 or 3 profitable months, you really can face like 6 months of nothing. And it's really good to have at least those 5 or 6 months of backup cash if you're a freelancer, just for yourself, of course. If you like employ other people, you obviously need to have this in mind as well. And if I would invest, every single time I have some savings, I actually invest them in chocofur. so this is my perspective. But if I was like a freelancer, I remember when I started, I spent some money on I don't remember the site's name, this FXPHD, I think it's this Australian VFX tutorials website. They have many courses on Nuke, Maya, and all those industry standard tools. So I spent some time on that, because at that point I wasn't really sure if I'm gonna be only using Blender.
Yeah.
I was at that time, but after I quit the first job, I didn't know if I wanna like be a freelancer. If I'm gonna. At that point, I really wanted to develop as a VFX artist. So yeah, I spent some money on those tutorials.
So basically, spending money on education. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, especially and let's be honest, if you support other Blender creators who really create valuable things, that goes back to you in any way, because you buy a tutorial, but they will create another one thanks to you in the future.
Yeah. If I want to create assets for chocofur myself, first of all, is that possible? And if yes, how can I contact you for maybe collaboration?
Yeah, at this point, it's not really possible, but we are working on it because, I've got those questions from a couple of people, and the thing is, we don't want to start another 3D models marketplace because those very quickly turned out to become like, let's be honest, the 3D junkyards where you have models for $1 or something, which with very poor quality. So what we are thinking of is getting in touch with a few Blender-related creators who create 3D models, and maybe partnering with them and doing the 3D models part together, or just creating a separate marketplace just for them. So for a few selected creators. So we keep the content like nicely organized, so it doesn't become, a junkyard very quickly.
Yeah, understand. In general, have you one main internet address where one can learn more about you and your service?
Oh yeah, of course. It's chocofur.com. That's the main website we have right now, where you can find tutorials and basically all the free stuff. Some of this is going to be outdated once the Blender 2.8 is out, but we are right now working on, we call it Chocofur 2.0. So we want to merge the second website, which is store.chocofur.com. We want to merge both websites, so we have everything in one place, both the free tutorials and the store and the models. And we also want to rework the old tutorials for Blender 2.8, so it's all updated and usable to Blender community.
To finalize this interview, or to sum it up, what is your main advice you want to give people that want to work in your industry? The word industry in this question is something that actually interested me, because I also read an online discussion on that, and these industry standards, 3D industry tools, as people like to use those words, that really kind of triggers me, because Blender for many years was considered like not a real 3D tool or just a hobbyist tools. And that's a very wrong approach, in my opinion. And many young people who get into the industry, they don't actually understand that, in my opinion, 70 to 80% of the 3D work that it's being done right now could be easily done in Blender. And those industry standard tools have their place, but in a really big companies that already have the set of pipelines, that really have huge projects, let's say the Hollywood companies or some very huge or very big architectural offices, it's okay for those companies to use the industry tools. But let's say if you have an architectural office of 3 people and you just do some basic renderings here and then, why would you spend, so much money for a tool that's used in Hollywood to make some visual effects? You could easily do it in Blender, just if you knew how to use it, right? Yeah.
So I wouldn't be really intimidated by those people saying that you need to use industry standard tools to be a professional 3D artist. But on the other hand, I would also like to point out that we live in a time that it's really not enough if you just know one 3D tool. I would say a standard today is knowing 2 or 3 applications at least if you want to be a valuable, part in a company that does a 3D. So it's very often that people use, let's say, Blender, Cinema 4D, and After Effects, or Blender, 3ds Max, and I would say, I don't know, ZBrush or something. So it's knowing Blender will be definitely an advantage for many companies, to be honest. I remember when I worked at Pixelmondo, we had like 100% 3ds Max based pipeline, but there were few bugs in few assets which could never be solved in 3ds Max, and I did this in Blender. I remember specifically that was a UV mapping issue in one 3D model which just crashed Max out of the box, and in Blender I just fixed it in like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So the more tools you know, the better. That's the thing.
Okay. Lech, thanks a lot for being here in the interview.
My pleasure.
I hope you guys enjoyed the interview. And yeah, it was a pleasure for me to have you here.
For me as well.
Goodbye.
Thanks for having me. Bye, man.
Yeah, guys, that's it with this interview. I hope you enjoyed it and hopefully you learned a lot during this interview. Please let me know in the comments below if you want to see more of these interviews in the future on my channel here. Tell me what people I should interview, which are basically making a living with Blender as CG artists somehow. And if you have any questions I should ask in the future, let me know in the comments below. Alright guys, thanks a lot for watching and see you in the next video. Goodbye.